Good afternoon, and welcome to Blueprint for Efficiency, a webinar speaker series hosted by the Yale Center for Business and the Environment and the MIT Energy Club. My name is Alyssa Go, and I will be your host for this afternoon's presentation entitled Making Efficiency Personal, a New Path to Community Engagement. We would like to acknowledge the Emily Hall Tremaine Foundation for their funding support of the Carbon Finance Speaker Series at Yale. A word about our speaker series. The Yale Center for Business and the Environment and the MIT Energy Club are pleased to present the 4th annual installment of the Carbon Finance Speaker Series, Blueprint for Efficiency. This series of public webinars will feature the latest developments in energy efficiency policy, investment, technology, and community engagement, with a special focus on the Department of Energy's Better Buildings program. In today's talk, Ludi Biddle, Executive Director of NeighborWorks of Western Vermont, will share strategies and lessons learned for engaging communities on energy efficiency upgrades. For years, NeighborWorks has been supporting energy retrofits in low-income households as a means of saving money for homeowners concerned about every penny. NeighborWorks promotes home energy retrofits through direct, personal, neighbor-to-neighbor contact and provides homeowners with a path to completion through their one-stop shop. This webinar will provide details on community outreach plans and the benefits of using neighbor-to-neighbor efforts. Our speaker, Ludi Biddle, is Executive Director of NeighborWorks of Western Vermont, located in West Rutland. She has more than 25 years of experience in nonprofit management, beginning at the Folger Shakespeare Library in Washington, D.C., and then at the National Endowment for the Arts, before she and her family moved to Vermont in 1982. She was appointed Executive Director at NeighborWorks in 2001. Please welcome Ludi Biddle to Blueprint for Efficiency.
Thank you very much, Alyssa, and thank you for the great honor this is to be included in your program. This is my first webinar as a presenter, so I hope that the audience will be forgiving, particularly if I stumble across some things. It's a great honor, as I say. We began this program, I'm going to move on to the next slide. Now, what wouldn't you know? Well, it went on during rehearsal. Is that? We're going to have to ask a technician to come and fix this. We do have somebody standing by. It's completely frozen. Okay. Use which? Don't go away, Dean. So thank you for waiting. My first crisis, I hope my last. I begin this presentation with the basic hypothesis on which we're operating our program and utilizing our Better Buildings grant. We are operating under the hypothesis that customer service can replace or at least reduce the dependence on incentive payments that are used currently to encourage and enable residents to retrofit homes for energy efficiency. It's not our making of policy whether or not there will be incentive payments, but we also are aware that that is a costly expense that may not be a sustainable program. And we'd just like to make our contribution to investigating whether there are alternatives. Therefore, NeighborWorks is on this journey, as I say, through the Better Buildings grant period, the next 3 years, to test and refine our customer service to see if we can do that. NeighborWorks, just to give you a little background, is a nonprofit housing organization. We're not an energy agency or organization. We're a nonprofit housing organization founded in 1986, and with starting in 4 communities, we're now serving 3 counties. We have deep roots in the community, and we are particularly working in the low-income community, as was mentioned in the introduction. Our programs have over the years evolved to include what we call homeownership education, an extensive program for any household, learning all the A's to Z's about homeownership. We have another program which is, of course, involved in homeownership, but rehab for health, safety, and efficiency improvements. It used to be more centered on health and safety, but over the years we've included efficiency improvements in every household, and now really our rehab program and efficiency are one and the same. We've had long-term support from the CDBG grant program through the state. And we have a lending program primarily to what we call the unbankable clients, the clients that have are basically unable to access the commercial lending world. We have a revolving loan fund, and we have lending specialists, and we help people, in most cases with a second mortgage, make their rehab improvements or buy their first home. So we entered this phase of our development as already being a one-stop shop. We provide education, access to cash, and construction management. I don't think I mentioned that, but in rehab we have construction specialists that actually go into the home of the individuals and help them through the construction process. We therefore have existed for a long time to make homeownership affordable and sustainable. Clearly, its energy efficiency is the fastest way for a home to be saving money. And it's particularly needed and particularly valuable to the low-income households where we've been working for a long time. So we were quite committed to this activity. We also know that you can't just announce this program. We have, of course, Efficiency Vermont working in Vermont, and I'm sure to the energy universe they're well known. We can't, however, just announce this program and people will come to make changes in their home or their lives. We also know that incentives alone don't work to cause a great change in people's behavior and make an investment in their home. And we know that a loan program, no matter how favorable, again, doesn't work on its own. I think there was a study that at Efficiency Vermont that revealed no matter how favorable the loan terms were, there was not a great uptake in that loan product. We certainly experienced with our low-income households that those three things working alone were not having a strong effect on people. And I say we experienced that because about 2 years ago, the CDBG block grant program made some additional funding available to us called an enhancement grant, whereby we could loan at 0% due on sale any amount needed to make efficiency improvements in low-income households. But we were still finding people reluctant or disbelieving in the effect that it would have in their homes. We did talk enough into doing this and saw the results as being incredibly beneficial to the households that we began to be very serious about enhancing this program to make education the difference. We therefore evolved into what we call the Energy Summit, where because we were not experts in energy, we were simply dealing in households, we wanted to partner with the energy experts. So we challenged, we brought together the energy experts to a meeting. We challenged everyone in the room to work together to make a significant change, bringing our expertise at community outreach to their expertise in energy development. So as I say at the bottom, and VSEM stands for the Vermont Vermont Community Energy Mobilization, which was a program of Efficiency Vermont working in the same direction, engaging volunteers in various towns to provide free home visits to households that would open their door and invite questions, invite a look around the basement, not with a technological recommendation, but with simple explanations as to what energy efficiency might do for their home. So the proposition to this group we called together was, will it help you if you help us to help other people? Since we're in the business of helping people keep their homes, would you help us with energy efficiency to pull that off together? That was the beginning of our application to the Better Buildings program. I think we were the only nonprofit housing organization applying, and it probably didn't make a bit of sense, except that when we read the application, it seemed to us that this is exactly what we were doing. We worked in concert with the communities, the towns in Vermont. In Rutland County, there are 26 towns, but I'll get to that in a second. So we applied to the Better Buildings program for a grant just for Rutland County. There are about 65,000 residents in Rutland County, 26 individual towns. If you're familiar with Vermont, we're very independent, and 26 towns, some with a population of 800 and some, Rutland City with a population of about 15. So we offered to the Better Buildings program that we would blitz the county with our one-stop shop design, and reached 7,300 homes with home visits. We would have 1,500 audits accomplished throughout the county, resulting in 1,000 retrofits. And I have to say, I'm not sure what we were thinking, because in the year before this application, there had been 600 retrofits in the entire state of Vermont. So we were ambitious, to say the least, but we believed that the power of these two forces, community organization and efficiency programs, would have an effect, and that was our proposition. We also said in the application that we would probably issue 500 loans, and another 500 households would either fund their own retrofits or go to commercial lenders. And you can see on the screen what we proposed as being the savings. I have to give a little bit of background too about Rutland County. We are Vermont, if you're not familiar, really does qualify as having the oldest housing stock in the country. I think the statistic is that about 50% of the housing stock was built before the Second World War, and it's certainly well known as the lovely, village housing, frame, white porches. In many cases, and particularly in the clients that we've worked with for so many years, the housing stock has been neglected. There hasn't been enough money to invest in improvements. It's often handed down generation to generation, so no one ever moves out, and improvements have fallen behind. So it's a very challenging housing stock. And then, of course, we have 6 months of the year that we're heating those houses.